Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance Network, and today, just a quick update. I mentioned that it was my birthday the other day, yesterday, and well, I got an amazing birthday present. Before I get into that, let me remind you guys to bookmark theconsciousresistance.com, sign up for our email newsletter right here, hit the subscribe button, email me at derrick@theconsciousresistance.com if you have any trouble getting signed up, subscribe to all our channels and all that good stuff. But I'm ready to nerd out with you guys. Let's see what we can do here. This is a brand new book released by friends of Samuel Konkin III, who, as most of my listeners and supporters will know, is the founder, the creator of the philosophy of Agorism, the strategy of counter-economics that has influenced my work very heavily. He's the author of the New Libertarian Manifesto, the Agorist Primer, and of dozens and dozens of essays and libertarian journals and things, much of which has been lost to the pages of history, and apparently some of it still exists though. So this is Counter-Economics from Back Alleys to the Stars: How Black Markets Free Humanity and Topple Coercive Governments, which is the final work of Samuel Konkin, who died in 2004. And essentially the whole kind of background on this is that Konkin had referenced, if you follow his writings that you find online, he'd referenced a few different times that he'd been working on a book called Counter-Economics that was going to be his magnum opus, similar to Marx's Capital. And that's kind of how he saw, he had the Libertarian Manifesto, Agorist Primer, and then Counter-Economics, which he saw was going to be this really all-encompassing work that would involve, economics, philosophy, history, anthropology, sociology, just all kinds of different areas, and showing how counter-economics ultimately involves all human action, like Mises had laid out. Konkin basically gives a clear definition. In his first two books, he definitely already established what counter-economics is, and he gives examples. But this book is for those who've wanted to dive deep into the strategy. Because the beautiful thing about Agorism, his books are really short and straight to the point, and I've taken that work and expanded upon it for the digital age, the internet age, and written about it. And there's some essays out there, but the general idea though is just to opt out where you can, take away your money from the state, and participate in the counter economy, the underground economy, the informal economy, System D, whatever you want to call it, and take your money, time, energy, and support away from the state as we build the counter institutions that will challenge the state in the future, or at the very least allow us to opt out and live freely. And this book is his way to really just break it down further and to make it quite clear to everybody how counter-economics works. Now, I actually have already paid for this. It's 99 cents if you want to buy a copy of this off Smashwords, and you have to create an account for this. It's not the biggest deal. It's especially because this Smashwords supports independent content creators like myself, and that's better than buying from Amazon. So I have already downloaded this, purchased this, and I'll show you right here. This is it. And I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff, guys. So I've been freaking out. I haven't even had time to really dive in. I just kind of give a skim through, and I'll show you guys what's here. And hopefully you guys can go support Victor Coleman, who's the man who is friends with Konkin, who found these chapters. And I'll explain what we have here. So, Counter-Economics from Back Alleys to the Stars by Samuel Konkin III: How You Free Yourself and Society Too. And I will say this, let me make this clear. This book has been provided under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0, which means that it can be copied, it can be, as long as there's attribution to Konkin, it can be mixed, it can be changed, adapted. And I just want to state my intention right now that I am going to finish this book, because this book is unfinished. As you're going to see here, there are 6 chapters that have been at least fleshed out somewhat, and it's clear that Konkin probably wanted to write more. And in chapters 7 through 10, we're aware of them, but they're not in existence. And then there's an outline that he had made of all the chapters, and the lost chapters, nobody knows where they're at. Maybe they're on somebody else's computer, and then some of the chapters are unwritten. So this really gives kind of the last peek. He wrote this book in the late 80s and tried to get a publisher, and nobody was interested, so he kind of put it off to the side. And he died in 2004, but before he died, he'd kind of mentioned in a couple emails that, hey, maybe I'll just throw it on the internet. He was never able to do that, so that's why now people have rediscovered it, and Victor rediscovered it and decided, you know what, instead of waiting to try to get this book perfect, let me just put it out, because he apparently was okay with that. And this is really cool because it shows you what his thoughts are. Introduction, Chapter 1, he attacks counter-economics, international counter-economics, Soviet counter-economics, drug counter-economics, inflation, information counter-economics, smuggling counter-economics, transportation, energy, human counter-economics. And then we have the unwritten chapters, and this is all we know about this. dissenters into intellectual counter-economics, sex counter-economics, feminist counter-economics, justice counter-economics, psychology, understanding counter-economics, opposing counter-economics, social counter-economics. And this is kind of interesting, right? He says, this promised final chapter spelling out the full integration of libertarian theory and counter-economic practice is presented. This section will eventually be expanded to a full volume with a heavier academic style, and the book will be promised to readers for a follow-up, Counter-Economics 2. So apparently he had another book in mind. The book will end with a veiled exhortation to live one's theory and fulfill one's dreams. And yeah, so this is really awesome, and it kind of gives you this whole background. Like, there's an appendix here, it explains the terms. There's a lot to see here. And so if you're an Agorist nerd, if you're a Samuel Konkin nerd, if you're interested in, if you don't know anything about Agorism, you're hearing about this for the first time, please go check our videos on Agorism. I'll put those in the description below. But if you're looking for solutions, Agorism Counter-Economics offers them. And this looks like the only thing I've seen that even goes deep like this is my book, Manifesto of the Free Humans, that provides opportunities in how we can move from, statism towards agorism, and how we move through the different phases that Konkin described. So again, my intention is to finish this book and hopefully release it by February at Anarchapulco. It will be called Counter-Economics for the 21st Century by Derrick Broze, based on the works of Samuel Konkin III. And I'm excited to release that. I mean, this is huge because the other thing that we've had happen this year is a couple months ago, Tom Woods had a guest on his show talking about how they'd rediscovered some lost works of Lysander Spooner, the American individualist anarchist. And that, if you haven't heard that interview that explains it, that's really awesome as well. And that's an even bigger book. It's like some old essays he wrote, and there's just lots to dig in. So 2018 has been pretty good for the libertarian anarchist kind of milieu. We now have rediscovered works from Samuel Konkin, founder of Agorism, and rediscovered works from Lysander Spooner. That's epic. That's awesome. So just wanted to drop in and let you guys know that. I'll post the links to this and you can purchase it yourself, or you can, if you really want, I'll email it to you. I'm sure Konkin wouldn't mind because he didn't believe in intellectual property anyways. But enjoy your weekend. Hopefully this will spread the word of Agorism and counter-economics out there. And for all the Agorist counter-economic nerds, I hope you enjoy it. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, you are free. Peace.